Hi everyone and welcome to Service for the Community. I'm your host Matt Blow and today we have Gary from the Boy Scouts and two members of the Optimist Club, Joette and Alan. How's everyone doing today?
Just fine,
Great.
man.
Good. Well, Gary, we're going to start with you. This is your first time on our show and you are, want to make sure I get your title right, the Eagle Scout Project Manager, is that correct?
Advisor, coach, advisor, whatever you want to call it.
Okay. Well, first of all, just start, I'm sure people are familiar with the Boy Scouts, but can you just tell us a little bit about that organization, maybe its history in the Independence Township, Clarkston area?
Well, Boy Scouts have been around for over 100 years, 1910. It's basically an organization that teaches kids to make decisions, good decisions morally and ethically through outdoor adventure programs, through rank advancement, merit badges, in this case, Eagle projects. It's been around a long time. There's 3 troops here in Clarkston. There's Troop 377 over at the American Legion Post, and we have Troop 199 over at St. Dan's, and then the troop that I've been affiliated with for 10 plus years, Troop 189 at Calvary Lutheran Church.
Awesome. Now those, I'm pretty unfamiliar with Boy Scouts as an organization. Are those troops that, do they normally end up doing projects together and working together, or is there some kind of friendly rivalry to it a little bit?
The 3 troops, they function by themselves. But we do counsel things together. We have done things together in the past. But they, every troop has their own flavor, their own things they prefer to do. The troop I'm a member of, we do a lot of hiking. That's our thing. We do a lot of hiking. I know Troop 189, they do a lot of high adventure, different things. They've been sailing in Florida and things of that nature. So it really depends on what a kid wants. But
So
three
the
great
kids
troops
kind
here
of
in
pick
Clarkston.
what their interests are. It's not a geographical based thing. It's more of a, I'm a little bit more interested in this activity, so I'm going to maybe go to that.
No,
troop
I think
or something like that.
5th graders here in Clarkston, when they have the option, they usually go and they visit all 3 troops and figure out what troop fits their family and them. And a lot of kids will come together as a group. For example, this year we got 17 new scouts. Wow. They all came together. So it depends on the troop, and it's worked out real well for all 3 troops.
Awesome.
All 3 troops here in Clarkston are very healthy and doing well.
Good. All right, Alan, you want to talk about a few things today, but the main thing you want to talk about was the summer writing camps.
Yeah, the Optimist Club sponsors scholarships for Sashabaw Middle School students to go to writing camps in the summer. And we choose the students. They put an application in the spring and kind of let the teachers get in on that. And there's Christine Butcher over at the middle school does most of that. And we choose a few of the students, as many as we can afford. This year we're sending 5, and we're paying for almost all of that to the 2 different camps. There's the Clarkston Writing Camp, which is right here in Clarkston, run by I guess a retired now Clarkston teacher, Phyllis Ness. And the kids, when they come back for those camps, they just love it. They go out there and they learn. So these kids just love to write. And it's amazing. Although we did have one once, we asked him why he wanted to go to camp. He says, "I'm not a very good writer, so I think I need to improve." So I thought, well, that's great, because most of them come saying, "I just love writing. I write all the time," and it's funny. The other camp is the Meadowbrook at Oakland University. They have a camp, and they have a lot of experiences around Meadowbrook and things. Their writing prompts come mainly from there. So both of these camps kids just love them to come back. And we, after the camps, we try to have a breakfast at an Optimist Club meeting and have them come in and tell us a little bit about their experiences and have them read something that they wrote at the camp. That isn't always successful because some of the kids don't like to do that, at that age. But it's pretty interesting to hear. Last year we had 2 of them come in, and I was pretty impressed with the writing, and one of our members actually was so impressed that we got a donation, an anonymous donation, and to support the program. So I think it's been pretty good for the kids. I think it's great to see them go off and go to camp. If I may, there's another program I'd like to just mention at this point is that we also have a program in conjunction with the library where we have a teen writing group, we call it. We meet about every other week on Wednesday. We're meeting tonight. And we kind of just support them, let them. We give them writing prompts sometimes. They write right in the meeting, and they're willing to share. I've been pretty impressed with that at that age. They're mostly willing to share. And we're about to start a newsletter and put that out probably in September with some of their work in it. So it's been another thing. So I'm kind of really into this writing thing, I guess, especially at that age, because they just seem to just soak it up. And maybe it's also because I'm an engineer and I never was a very good writer myself, so, and it's very important.
Is there certain styles of writing they work on? Like, is it short story, poetry, or is it kind of more free form where they just kind of write what they are interested in?
Well, this group at the library, we like to tell them over and over again, this isn't school, and I'd like to keep it free form with them. We have the teen librarian there that kind of runs the group. And and they seem to appreciate that, where they can come in and write what they want. I mean, poetry. We have several that like to write poetry, stories. One girl who just loves to develop characters. It's just so funny because she spends her time and does a very good job of it. So it's always very impressive to hear some of what they've written.
So what's the age range again on the summer writing camp first?
Well, the summer writing camp, we get applications from existing Sashabaw Middle School students.
Okay.
And through some issues this year, we had a couple fifth graders that we're actually sending. They're going to be in sixth grade next year. But generally, we take existing sixth and seventh graders and send them off to camp.
And the teen writing is
teen writing group.
next
Well, that
age
started
group?
out as a middle school thing also, and but we've done this for a few years, and we have some high school kids still in it. So we've decided that we're going to just keep it to. That's why we changed the name to teen. It was middle school writing group, and now it's we're not going to drum anybody out, I guess. So they seem to want to come back. A few of them. It's quite a close-knit group.
So if writing's something they're interested in, they can kind of get their foot in the door, so to speak, with summer writing camp, and then they want to keep doing
Right.
it.
And I would
teen writing.
invite any middle school students, and I guess junior high too, and even high school, if you'd like to, you could come join us at the library. We meet on every other Wednesday at 6 o'clock, 6 to 7.
Awesome. All right, now still keeping with Optimus, but we're going to go to you, Joette, and you guys have some scholarships, some college scholarships that you guys wanted to kind of talk about. So let's talk about that for a
Well,
little.
like many organizations, we give scholarships, and this year we gave, actually we gave 5. We gave 4 to Clarkston High School students, but we will give to anyone in the Clarkston Community Schools attendance area.
Okay.
So if you go to a private school or you're homeschooled, you could have also applied.
Okay.
And we go through the Chamber of Commerce. But our winners this year were Justin Osborne, Shailene Colabar, Sage Paris, and Andrew Demmer. And so those 4 students, they're going, I think Columbia is where Justin is going, Shailene's going to Michigan Tech, Andrew's going to Oakland University, and Sage is going to U of M. So
Okay.
we look for community service, and these students, you would be amazed at the community service activities that these students have been in during the years.
So it's service focused. What kind of amount scholarship do you guys perform?
It's
or is it just-
$1,000.
Okay.
It's $1,000, and so we've given scholarships for many years, for almost all the 32 years. One of them is the Henry Richardson Scholarship, which was a Optimist member who drowned in Deer Lake early on, and so that scholarship is for somebody who is especially has community service and has been in the Optimist Club during their high school years.
Okay. Awesome. So roughly how many scholarships do you normally do? Around 4 or 5 a year?
4,
Does
yes,
it kind of
uh-huh.
fluctuate based on? Okay.
Yeah, it's obviously funds.
Sure,
but,
sure.
But, that's we usually and we try to give a scholarship to Renaissance High School also, and some years this year we were able to, and some years we're not. But we look to that school too because it's part of the Clarkston area. Kids from the Clarkston area are there. So.
Awesome. Now, Gary, going back to the idea with Boy Scouts and kind of the Eagle Scouts, and I know they have to do different projects, and I hear all the time about how they're going to different government meetings or working with different organizations to put a project together. So could you kind of maybe just kind of tell us what some of those projects are and kind of what it entails to do an Eagle Scout project?
Well, the Eagle Scout project, I'm just listening to Joette here about, the Optimist. It's amazing the amount of service hours all these kids put in, whether they're in Scouts or Optimist Club. I know at the Scouts, in fact, I read a fact once, this past year, the Boy Scouts put 100 million hours in service hours just in Eagle Scout projects.
Wow.
That doesn't include, like I know our troop does other projects, as does 377 and 199. I know, like, from just projects that I've helped kids with, we've had projects here in Depot Park, rain garden, stream stabilization they did down when they put that new bridge in down by the park. We've had kids that have organized fun runs. I had one of our scouts organize a fun run to buy money to buy boots and shoes for homeless individuals. We had an individual scout who put on a concert, and then he raised money for DRAW, which is an organization for like hurricane relief. We have had scouts that have built what's called a buddy bench, and they're at our elementary schools. New kids that come to school, the concept is they sit at the buddy bench, and kids see that. They try to make friends with the kids that are new in the school.
Sure.
We've built desks. Kids have built desks for North Sash and I believe Pine Knob. We have a community garden that a scout built over here at the Clarkson Community Church.
Okay.
And that was built several years ago, but it's a functioning garden. We've put together, I had a scout who planted an apple orchard down in the city of Pontiac.
Okay.
Which at first, when he came to me with the idea, I thought, how's this going to work? And basically, it's a vacant lot, and they've planted apple trees and self-sustaining irrigation. People from Pontiac just come and they take the fruit whenever they need.
Wow.
So the projects are extensive.
Sure.
But the whole process of an Eagle Scout project is, it's not so much about the end product as the scout going through the process.
Sure.
Because we all know, when you do a home project, you tear down a wall and lo and behold, it's not what you
Something
expected.
else happens, then you got to figure that out.
Exactly.
Something else goes wrong. And
Exactly. And I had a young man who built a low ropes course over at Calvary Lutheran Church, who's doing a major renovation. And after he got his project all done, they had to put in a sedimentation basin. So he had to tear his entire project out, move it. And it was just one of those things where, it was, he went through the process of getting permits and sometimes those things happen.
Yeah.
And so it's not, like I said, it's not about the end product, it's about the individual going through the process.
Now, in your role as advisor, do you find that the students are kind of coming to you with a big project, you got to kind of help them pare it down, or is it a small project that you're trying to add some more to it, or is it kind of a mixed bag?
A little bit of both. I think I always tell kids the hardest part about an Eagle Scout project, or even probably a project with the Optimist Club, is finding an idea that you have a passion about, that you believe in. I always tell the kids, don't pick a project just for the sake of getting,
right.
I always tell the kids that the Eagle Award's not about the badge or the medal, it's about the journey, the process.
Sure. That's
what's going to help you, in further life. So, so a little bit of both. I've had some kids that, have come to me with projects that are, grandiose, and we got to kind of scale this down a little bit to, that's a 4-year project you're talking about, and you're 16. You're not going to make that. You're not going to make that age 18 requirement. But a little bit of both.
How long does an Eagle project normally is it normally a couple months, or does it go as long as a year or two?
Start to finish, at least in our troop, it's about anywhere from 8 months to 16 months, depending upon. Yeah, it's not a.
It's not a month-long, weekend-long project.
Yeah, it's not. Kids, because when an individual turns 18, they can no longer earn the award. So if you're, 17 and a half and you want to crack out a project, it's possible.
Right.
But we encourage the kids, when you're 16, okay, we got to get this moving, and the kids are usually very, very timely and very excited about the project. Like I said, it's got to be something they want to do.
Sure. Now, as is that something where the other scouts help the person going for their Eagle Scout on their project, or is there structured in a certain way where they got to try to find outside help, or? Typically
within our troop, and I'm sure in other troops here in Clarkson, it's usually the scouts helping other scouts.
Sure.
You know, I know in our troop we have a motto that if there's an Eagle Scout project, I need to help because I'm going to want their help when my time rolls around.
Gotcha.
And you know, I've had kids come back from college. You know, hey,
wow.
so and so helped me, and you know, I had a kid drive from Michigan Tech all the way down here for an Eagle Scout project. You know, because his buddy put in the time. So, yeah, it's a give and take. It's a give and take. You know, moms, dads, aunts, uncles.
Sure.
We've had kids recruit some of their teammates off the football team. And we've had some Clarkston football kids and basketball kids and track kids all chiming in. So it's a little bit of everybody, but typically it's within the troop.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, Alan, we're going to come back to you. Tell us a little bit about Kids Speak Out.
Okay. Well, it's just there's several projects or several programs we've had this spring. I'd just like to talk about. That's one of them is Kids Speak Out, which is new, and for our club, the last 2 years, we basically we have an oratorical contest, we call it. I think it's a speech contest, but the for mainly high school kids, and although you can be younger and enter, and that's been going on for years, and it's a scholarship contest. And then the Optimist International decided that they would like to have something for the younger kids, and it's just to kind of get them started, sort of like a pre-oratorical contest in a way. So we started and went to North Sashaba because there was a teacher there I worked with before, and she was all excited to do this. And we kind of structured it. They already do a persuasive writing unit in the 5th grade. So there are 3 5th grade classes there, and we decided to kind of take that persuasive writing portion and turn it into a speech. And so the kids could give a speech. And we didn't, there's like maybe 60-some kids in those 3 classes, but we didn't, that was the first year anyway. We didn't demand they all do that because there's a certain level, you know, that some kids just can't do it. So we just kind of, whatever ones that wanted to do it. And we
This is the event I'm thinking of. I think ITV might have covered it, or we helped you cover
yes,
it.
you did.
And if memory serves, they had quite a variety of speeches, because the whole point is just to make a passionate speech about something.
That's exactly what the kids are told, is to kind of, you know, come up with something you're passionate about. It's amazing what some of the things are they're passionate about. You know, one this year said that he wanted to make school shorter.
I was going to say, I think they range from things like that. I think some even talked about politics or certain social issues or whatnot.
Yeah.
So they kind of have a range on them, for longer recesses to other things.
School lunch. You know.
Right.
At that age, there's all kinds of problems.
Sure.
But we had some of our Optimist Club members, and Joette was there, one I know, that help out the kids with 2 different phases, kind of what their ideas were, and help them kind of come up with what kind of points they needed to make, and you know, how to be persuasive and things like that. So we were kind of working with them on that, and came back and worked with them a little bit on how to give the speech and what kinds of, and give them a little bit of feedback. And then when we actually have a program where we took the kids over to, since they're at North Sashaba, it's right across, you know, the street there from Sashaba Middle School. So we had a program at night after school at Sashaba Middle School that where we let the kids that wanted to give their speeches in front of their parents, and we had some people from the Optimist, like international or local, you know, some of the officials come there and say a few words. The principal, or the assistant principal actually of Sashaba Middle School and so forth, kind of make a big deal about it. And the other part of the program that I liked is the junior high Optimist Club kids actually put on the program. And they came up, decided what to do, got refreshments, they got the t-shirt I think we showed there, and did all that for the kids. And they made the kids, I think, feel like they're really important. They like and they seem to really take to it. So I thought that was good. Yeah. I have a couple other things.
Go for it.
That we've done recently. We have a community art connection where we take, these are programs I've been mostly involved with. So there's an art show at the at the board office every year, where we have started out with elementary school art, but every year we've added some grades, and we're up to having that all through high school now.
Wow.
And I think we've done this for about 6 years. But they have that show every year in the spring, and then we get some of the local businesses that want to be involved. Well, we have them come and they can pick out whatever art they want from that show, and then display it in their business. And we, as the Optimist Club members, a few of us, we take that art to the business so they don't have to fiddle with that.
Sure.
So, and pick it up, or the parents will pick it up afterwards if they want. And it's been kind of popular with a lot of the businesses. They love seeing the art in their
Sure.
that time of year. So that's one thing. Then what was my other one?
The next one I had on mine was Community Art Connection.
Oh, well, I just talked about
How about
that.
the art camp?
Oh, yeah. Well, the writing camps, yeah, we talked about. On a lot of these programs, we have breakfast meetings at our club, and I think is a great thing to do, and bring in the parents and the and siblings a lot of times. And one other thing we have been doing all through the spring is our student recognition, and we have each school is given the opportunity to pick a student every year, and that's like one student from a school. And then we have various breakfast meetings with 3 or 4 of the elementary and then secondary and so forth, where we kind of honor that student. It's really fun to hear what the teachers and principals have to say about a student, and and how, and we try to, it's really tuned into our Optimist Creed, where we they have some of the attributes that are in our Optimist Creed. And the thing I like a lot is to watch the parents sometimes, because I suspect sometimes those parents haven't heard that didn't realize their kids were as nice as that, because they don't see it at home sometimes, how that goes. But it really makes everybody feel good, I think. I think it's a great program.
Awesome. Joe, we're going to circle back with you to kind of talk about, we talked about college scholarships, but Optimist also gives out a lot of large grants. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
We do. Well, we've been fortunate enough to be the recipient of approximately $50,000 a year. Now, the Optimists are all about kids. That's our, helping kids, bringing out the best in kids. So we take this money and we give it, we have a application form, and we send it out, we advertise it, so that any group in the Clarkston area, whatever, that services kids, or somebody that has an idea that they'd like to do with kids, can apply for a grant. So this year, probably the largest grant we gave out was to Depot Park, because the Depot Park playground has been there for a long time, and it's getting a little old, tired, and the wood is getting rotten. So they got a very large amount of money to work on that. Not large enough to fix it all, but large enough to help out. Some of the other grants were given to North Sashaba got a grant for in partnership with the Clarkston Independence District Library to do book talks, and so they got to keep the books from that. Everest Academy got funds to help with their robotic. They're adding a robotic class to their classes, and then being in competition. There's a new Miracle League that's being created and built in Friendship Park in Orient, but it's for Clarkston Independence Township and Orient Township, and it's for students with disabilities. And it's a very expensive, the Easter Seals is helping out with that, but they took donations because it's a $500,000 project. The biggest thing is the surface of that, it's a ball diamond, and the surface of that is smooth enough so if a child is in a wheelchair, and they can have the mobility to hit, and then they can roll that wheelchair right down to first base. But it could be veterans, it could be any group of people that have mobility issues, and it's a flat surface, and the surface of the is the biggest thing. We gave money to the Bay Lake PTA, who was they have a hoop house and a garden, and they asked for money to help them out with an irrigation system. We've over the years have given money to the Clarkston Family Farm, and this year they're actually turning the garage of the house into a classroom for students in inclement weather. And but they're also working with the junior high construction classes to do that. And then we also give money to the construction classes for tools, so that they have those. Sometimes they're little grants, and we gave it to Andersonville Elementary's teacher to do music and literature. It's a music literature grant. We gave funds to the junior high for an art grant. Let's see.
Beekeeping?
Oh yes, one of the most interesting I think was the high school apiary club or the beekeeping club. And Mr. Olson at the high school wanted to purchase 5 beekeeping. They have 2 hives at the high school, so that's
Sounds
a really
pretty cool.
That's news to me.
That sounds pretty cool.
yeah, and so they were putting a trail to their, part of it was for a trail, and part of it was for these 5 suits for kids to do beekeeping. So we gave, I believe, 15 or 16 grants out. We added to the new spray park at Independence Township, some money for that, for benches and things like that. So it's all kinds of things, whether they're educational, whether they're recreational. We gave money to SCAMP for kids to go to the farm for a field trip. And that's just, helps the kids, just a different opportunity. So there's a lot of, we're very fortunate to have, live in Clarkston and have quite a wide range of activities for kids. But this helps.
But I think Joette was in charge of that committee, and I think that committee every year just does a fantastic job of, that's hard, and it's a little bit of work, right, to back and forth, and there's people have different opinions and everything, but to me it was really interesting because you actually, out of 50,000, you spent $49,936. 38, I think, on 38 cents, if I remember right.
I don't know, the beekeeping sounds pretty cool.
That sounds like a pretty unique kind of project.
Well, it offers people that little extra, those teachers a little extra something if they have something they want to do. And, they could sell a lot of candy bars to get that money, but, it just helps. That was a student-led project. I think Shailene Kolabar, who was one of our Optimist scholarship winners, was one of the founding members of the apiary or the bee club. So, and she wants to be an environmental engineer. So, those things all come back, and then they'll come back to Clarkston too.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, before we wrap up the show, is there anything else you guys want to mention or talk about?
Well, I have an Eagle Scout story.
Go for it.
You are an Eagle Scout, aren't you, Alan?
Yeah, well, that's kind of what
Real recent, right?
yeah, right. Yeah, I just turned 18.
Yeah.
I was down in Ohio where my grandkids are, and they were Cub Scouts. So I went one night. It was there, and we were going to a Cub Scout meeting, and I mentioned we're working with a group of kids on something. I mentioned that I used to be an Eagle Scout. I said, obviously a long time ago, and then one of the kids speaks up and says to me, he's really earnest there. You are an Eagle Scout. Once an Eagle Scout, always an Eagle Scout, he said. And I said, and I had said, boy, well, thank you. And that's right. And from then on, I've always modified that. So it was pretty interesting that he was that into it.
Awesome.
That's very true, though.
Well, we should mention, as we're recording this, 4th of July is coming up. We're recording this show on a Wednesday. It's happening a week from today. We got the parade that I believe kicks off at 10?
10 a.m., yes.
10 a.m.?
The Optimists, the Knights of Columbus from St. Daniel Catholic Church, and the Mount Zion Church are all the committee members of, it's a volunteer organization for the 4th of July. And we welcome anybody that, that you'll find it on Positively Clarkston or clarkstonparade.org. Or see us on Facebook, Clarkston 4th of July Parade. So the information's all there, and we have approximately 100 entries.
Wow.
We have horses, we have fire trucks, we have a concrete truck, we have the garbage truck, but we have a lot of floats and other things. If you've lived in Clarkston a long time, the garbage truck is always a piece of the parade.
Sure.
But we have the Clarkston High School Marching Band, we have the Clarkston Alumni Band, and then we have a barbershop quartet from the Clarkston Cultural Association. So there's a lot of music, and there'll probably be a lot of candy for kids that's gently tossed.
Sure.
And it's a great way if you're in town to spend your 4th of July.
Well, and ITV will be there as well. We will be recording it and rebroadcasting on our channels and YouTube. And if for whatever reason you're out of town that day, you're someplace else, we'll also be live streaming it on our website at independencetelevision.com as well.
Good.
All right. Well, that's all the time we have for Service for the Community, and we'll see you folks next time.